to be here. Always a pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to be here. Absolutely. The prodigious, the prominent Professor Johnson of absolute propaganda, proclamation news, and gatherings. It's the first day of March. Give us some sports, give us some encouragement, give us some acknowledgement. You can do some, if you want to do some netiquette regime with anything that you're sustaining with mentally, with your children going back to school. Are you worried about your children going back to school in the current climate of this lockdown without all the teachers having their vaccine? So now all the teachers I know for a fact haven't had their vaccination. I was speaking to a young lady earlier in her 30s, early 30s, still hasn't had a vaccination. She's a key worker and still hasn't had her vaccination. Worrying times, isn't it? You think children should have their vaccination before they go back to school to be on a safe side so they don't bring COVID home to their parents? Of course they should. I do. Absolutely I do. Anyway, moving on, mate. We're getting into the UK politics as it stands. Amid as it stands. We are proudly sponsored by PSS Alarms. PSS Alarms. They're helping me support the show, and I'm helping them by advertising their company. PSS Alarm. And make sure your house, your business, whatever business you got, maybe you got some sort of industrialization kind of business. If it's car mechanics, if it's a warehouse, you need to make sure your equity is safe. You need to make sure your equity is safe. Your safety is paramount. Sort of criminology. It's not just making your business safe, it's making the occupants within your business that are coming into your business to do trade perhaps as well. Because if they're injured whilst at work and you've got no CCTV in place, you're then liable for your business. You're liable for the injuries caused whilst at your business. You need to make sure you secure your business. Very, very important. People don't realise how important CCTV is. All saving up for brighter, better days as we're coming out of lockdown. Businesses start to flow. You need to insure your business. You want CCTV up around your house. So, Proclamation News and Gatherings is proudly sponsored by PSS Alarms. Very adequate and pragmatic works are carried out. All areas covered include central station monitoring provided. All work done according to insurance requirements. It's very important that you note this down. This is a friend of mine's company. He's carried out works in Harry Kane's stepmother's house. He carries out etiquette works in Essex, including clubs, restaurants, bars, hairdressers, you name it, he claims it. Such as Casabar restaurants, a massive food chain company, have hotels and food. I think it's like a Turkish cuisine, and many more big businesses. Please call Tariq Khan on the English code, which is +44 7908. Take this down. +44 7908 216 142. I'll say it again. +44 7908 216 142. So you've got +44 7908 216 142. Asked to speak to Tariq Khan. Installation and maintenance of intruder alarms, fire alarms, CCTV, all work guaranteed and certified to SSAIB standards. 24-hour call-out service can provide CCTV for pubs, clubs, restaurants, or new business setup. Secure your business. Mention Professor Johnson for an extra discount. Secure your business. Your safety and priorities within your business are so think safety, think first. Secure your equity. Make sure you do. It's very important, not for me, but for the occupants coming inside your business. Mention Professor Johnson for an extra discount. Well worth getting your business, your house, your family with CCTV security to make sure no intruders come into your household. Or even while you're on holiday, making sure your children and your belongings are safe. Anyway, this is what I was just talking about. COVID. Teachers risk similar to others under 65s. I'm saying this, I mean teachers, they had their COVID vaccination, they're at risk going to work. School staff do not have a markedly high risk of infection than other working age adults. A study suggests the number of staff testing positive for COVID antibodies increased by a similar percentage to their peers, while schools were fully open. Experts described the findings as very reassuring and suggested efforts by schools to control infections while working. They said this did not mean teachers were at zero risk. However, testing for COVID antibodies indicates someone has had the virus in. In December, 15% of teaching support staff tested positive for antibodies, compared to about 18% of people of working age in the same local authorities, giving them about an average risk of their age. But the working age population includes people not in work and working from home, as well as those going to work. It would be naive to think teachers going into schools wouldn't have a higher risk than those working from home, according to Dr. Shamiz Ladhani, who is leading research for Public Health England. His team from Public Health England, the Office for National Statistics, and the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine tested staff and students at a sample of schools for current and past infections. Anyone working outside their home is likely to have some elevated risk, the researchers has explained. However, teams substantially higher compared with people in other settings. Between 25% and 50% of the hospital staff had antibodies according to various studies, while in care homes, that at least on one COVID outbreak, two-thirds of 66% of staff had antibodies by the end of the first wave. In contrast, the proportion of the school staff testing positive for antibodies rose to 15% from about 12% between November and December 2020, given schools were completely open during the period. You would expect much higher antibody conversion if it was a high-risk environment. Dr. Ladhani said. He said the long-term harm of keeping children out of school was enormous. The benefits outweigh the risk, but the risks are not zero, he said. It was not possible to tell from the study whether any infection detected had been caught in school or in wider community, or whether teachers were catching the virus from pupils or other teachers. The very fact we've not seen a high antibody rise when at school suggests staff were not being infected at high rates during that period. He said schools had never been in a better position to think about reopening, and it was a testament to the infection control efforts of the schools and their staff. One of the study's lead authors, Professor Sened Langan, added, schools and their staff have made a huge effort to protect themselves and their students by implementing COVID-19 control measures to try and stop the infection entering the school site and reduce on-site transmission, she said. It was announced last week that no occupation would be prioritised for vaccination. People doing different jobs would be offered the jab according to their age of health status. That's because those are the biggest factors driving whether someone will get very ill or die after being infected, and relatively small portion of COVID deaths have been in the working age population. Two-thirds of deaths in under 65s were in men, and the most common occupations of those who died were in caring, service jobs, and elementary occupations like cleaners, self-fillers, and hospital porters. Very, very risky, isn't it? Going to work, children are coming in. It could, they could be the occupants of the COVID, taking it into the workers, to the key workers. They're key workers, aren't they? They're on the front line supporting our children. Obviously, we've got some sad news, but the fact that he's still here is phenomenal at his grand age. I think he's 95. Prince Philip, the royal family. Prince Philip transferred to the second hospital for heart condition tests. Now, it's sad, shocking news for the family, but he's still here. He's 99, not 95. The Duke of Edinburgh has been transferred to the St Bath Mellows Hospital for continued treatment after 15 nights at another London hospital. Doctors are treating Prince Philip, 99, for an infection. They also undertake testing and observation for a pre-existing heart condition, Buckinghamshire Palace has said. The Duke is responding to treatment, remains comfortable, it added. He is expected to remain in hospital until at least the end of the week. Philip, who turns 100 in June, was taken to King Edward VIII's Hospital in London on the 16th February as a precaution after feeling unwell. A palace source said at the time, the Duke walked into hospital unaided. On Monday morning, someone was screened just from journalists' cameras by umbrellas as they got into an ambulance outside the hospital in Marylebone. Philip was transferred about 3 miles, 5 kilometres to St Bartholomew's Hospital, also known as Bart's, in the City of London. St Bart's is a centre of excellence for cardiac care. Its NHS site says. All the NHS staff are doing a massive, phenomenal job for everyone, The exact reason for Philip's initial admission has not been disclosed, but his stay is not related to coronavirus. Both the Duke and the Queen, 94, received COVID-19 vaccination last month. The Prince of Wales visited his father around 30 minutes the weekend, and he was admitted. 2 days later, the Duke of Cambridge said his grandfather was okay and that doctors were keeping an eye on him. The following day, on the 23rd of February, Buckinghamshire Palace said Philip was being treated for an infection and was not expected to leave hospital for several days. The Earl of Wessex added his father was feeling a lot better and appreciated the lovely messages from the public. Bart's UK oldest hospital, St Bartholomew's, is Britain's oldest hospital according to the NHS website, and is set to celebrate its 900th birthday on 2023. The NHS teaching hospital is intentionally renewed. It has beds for more than 300 patients, supported by 2,500 staff. The hospital, located close to St Paul's Cathedral in London, has general medical wards, a cancer centre, a specialist heart centre too. Bart's Heart Centre has stated of the arts facilities, including 10 operating theatres, critical care beds, and scanning capabilities. You want history? I mean, we like things that are iconic. When we talk about things, look how old this building is. 900th birthday. 900th birthday of this St Bartholomew's Hospital. That is iconic. Very iconic. It offers NHS services as well as private care. It is based in the main hospital's King George VIII, building, and is Europe's largest specialised cardiovascular centre. Members of the royal family, including the Queen, have continued with their official duties during the Duke's hospital stay. The Queen engagements over the past 2 weeks have included hosting a video call with health officials leading the UK's COVID vaccine rollout, and knighting a royal aide during a private social distance ceremony at Windsor. Prince Philip retired from royal duties in 2017 in a move supported by the Queen. Known for off-the-cuff remarks at public events, Prince Philip joked at the time that he was the world's most experienced plaque unveiler. In his time as working royal, he attended over 22,000 solo engagements and given more than 5,000 speeches. The Duke has received treatment for various health conditions over the years, including a blocked coronary artery in 2011, a bladder infection in 2012, and exploratory surgery on his abdomen in 2013 on June. I mean, if not, 99, what a phenomenal amount of years to be still alive. Absolutely prodigious guy Prince Philip is to live that long. My family life threshold is not much past the age of 60, 70, in between 60 and 70. If I get past 70, I'd have made broken a record. That is phenomenal. Nearly 100 years old Prince Philip. Absolutely ethical. It's ethical. It's amazing that the royal family, Prince Philip is still here, and I'm so overwhelmed that the royal family are still here to, lead. That they're the face of how to act in a sensible mannerism. Look up to, when you go to church, look up to Jesus, but in the face of reality, you look up to the royal family as well. You look up to the royal family. Absolutely.
The number of cases is now down to 1 in every 145 people, and that the rate of decline is continuing. Actually, the pace of it is slowing. The rate of hospital admissions shows a fall of 40% over the past fortnight, but there are still 15,485 people in hospital, and that's far too high. The number of deaths have more than halved in the last fortnight, but 380 deaths were reported each day on average over the last week, and that is far too high. The good news is that the link from cases to hospitalizations and deaths, which has had a grim inevitability throughout 2020, that link is now breaking thanks to the vaccination program. We've now been able to get the slide up, and this demonstrates, as you can see, that there's been a fall in the number of cases, another fall, but that the speed of that fall is slowing slightly. And this fact, and the fact that the pressure on the NHS has lifted somewhat, means that the UK Chief Medical Officers have agreed that the UK alert level has been moved down from level 5 to level 4, which is, of course, great news. But level 4 still means that there is significant pressure on the NHS. The number of cases is now falling by only 15% a week. In some areas of the country, that has flattened entirely, and 1 in 5 local authority areas has seen a rise in cases in the last week. I'm going to ask Professor Van Tam to set out more details of this and the geography in a moment, but I just want to say this about the figures. It's in place for a reason. Every action that you take, every time you put your mask on, every time you stay at home, you are playing your part. This is on all of us to keep this under control. This is still a deadly virus. We will get through this, but we have to stick at it.
Okay. No. Bear with me. Spare me about 2 seconds. I've just got this loading up. We're looking at the Essex areas that are COVID free. So when we come out of restrictions, a couple of weeks, I'll do some. Yeah, you're fine, Marmite. We'll do some singing shortly. You can jump in. No problem. Got it all planned out. You're all right, no problem. It's no problem, honestly. If a lot of people come through to talk, it's no problem. If you think anything's relevant to your neighbour, implement, give your opinion. It's valuable to my show as well, because I've got listeners on my Castbox, I've got listeners on my YouTube, I've got listeners on here, so everyone can interact with the show. It means a lot. Means that what I'm saying, you're staying observant, and it helps with the number of neighbourhoods across Paris. Now, which mainly cover parts of Basildon and Braintree, have recorded fewer than 3 cases in the last 7 days up to February 23rd. That's phenomenal, isn't it? So we're almost COVID-free in my constituency. Chelmsford's like about 10 miles up the road. Government's interactive map shows where has been, everyone's just staying to the restrictions, staying in their own house. You can't go anywhere, so they kept hospitality sector, and that was the main COVID, I believe. Those in white are where fewer than 3 cases have been recorded. The reason the immune system and the person next to your immune system is weak because they're drinking with you. They're going to catch COVID. Plus the cold weather. If you're having a bad day in the cold weather, you know, last week Boris Johnson revealed the roadmap out of lockdown, with the first step out of the planned schools to fully reopen next Monday and 8th of March, with more than 20 million people in the UK having received their first dose of the vaccine. Things are now looking more positive. However, there remains a warning to residents to continue to follow lockdown rules to stop the virus surging through. And I can be with all my friends. Essex dad set up to support his 2 little girls. Andrew Westwood, 42, from Grace, and his 2 girls, Hope, 10, and Grace, dad of 2, has died from cancer just 6 weeks after being diagnosed. It was during a pain and stomach pains. As the stomach continued, 2-year-old underwent a series of tests in hospital, which led to a devastating word, you know, just so dangerous. It is really dangerous. If you had it and it couldn't be treated. Andrew was given between 2 and 4 months to live, but tragically died on February 17th, just 6 weeks after his diagnosis. He has left behind a loving family, parents, wife Lauren, 38, and 2 young girls, Hope, aged 10, and Grace, 7. You can only but imagine when he got told he had that C word, because you hear people, you know, being strong with their immune system, they can pull through most things. He probably went home to his wife when he got told, the doctor told him he got cancer. It's all right, I'm going to pull through it. He's only a young guy, 4 years of age, is no time to lose your life. I remember my mum, she had, skin cancer, breast cancer. I don't like to air my stuff on my show, but, you know, just so you know, people can pull through it, and to know that he's probably gone back weeks later. What an horrific news. You know, my heart and my condolences go out to his wife and his 2 kids. I know that's not going to mend the measures that they're going through, but to know that there are people going through the same crisis, I don't know, how can you make them pull through in a loved one? It's a shock to see. Andrew's friend and family are trying to raise money for the father to ensure they have support for the futures without their beloved dad. It was less than 6 weeks from the start to finish. What? My friend, guy across the road, I'm shocked, and spoke last year. He was so healthy to finally have he began to feel ill. His sister Alison West from Abbey explained. He was only diagnosed on January the 8th with colon and liver cancer, the 40-year-old has said. It was over Christmas time. He had some stomach pain, and that is why he started to have some tests. It all happened really quickly. He wasn't ill before. It was less. Give out your heart and your condolences to these people that are going through rough times. Please feel free. Someone, you film me YouTube as well. After the diagnosis in January, just give me about two minutes. After diagnosis in January, Andrew's health quickly deteriorated. He was having quite a lot of discomfort from being diagnosed, and when deteriorated really quickly, she added, he goes out with the kids and wife and go about his business, but as soon as he was diagnosed, he would stop working and deteriorated very quickly and was unable to move around very much. Initially, they told him he had 2 to 4 months to live. He didn't even get to 2 or 3 weeks when they told him. I mean, when you get cancer and it's getting worse, your body feels fatigued. When they first said he had cancer, he thought, okay, it'll be rough, but I can't battle it. And then he was told it wasn't curable. I was told it's treatable rather than curable, and then told not to even treatable. It was really tough. Oh, Andrew was offered palliative chemotherapy from the hospital, but chose to stay with his family, longing to be close to them. He immediately moved into his mum and dad's house alongside his wife and two daughters so they could all be together. He was offered palliative chemotherapy, but he wouldn't have been able to visit us on the COVID-19 restrictions, so we're given a couple more weeks to get back home, and he decided he wanted to do that. I was going around to having a COVID test to visit him. It was very hard at the point with the COVID as well. Still trying to social distance as well from my sister-in-law and not being able to hug. It's really tough for them seeing him deteriorate so quickly. Anyone birth at this current climate of lockdown, very, very risky take, you know. It's COVID patients all in hospital, moving in and out, you know. The doctors have to be very, very careful, very careful. My friend just wants to, so let him jump up. Just let my friend jump up in the box. Oh, well, let me try and jump in again if you're on my mic. Even in the last few weeks, Andrew still put his family first. He deteriorated really quickly, but when he was more with it, he was saying that he wanted to be with them sporting together, she said. He asked his best friend to look after his wife and children. If there was anything Andrew was known for, it was being a phenomenal dad to his two girls. He was such a fan man. He really, really was, and especially with his children, he said. He wasn't perfect, but I never knew a dad like him. He was involved with his children. They really were the centre of the world. So it's a massive loss. Alison added, we are struggling to get our heads around. So I think they are so young, it will take to fully understand he's not coming back. They are doing it all right. They have a lot of love. Tough. He was such a massive part of their life. He had a lovely smile. Shocking news. Since his passing, there's been a huge outpouring of love and support. Pouring of love and support of Andrew, known as a Westie by his friends and all those that knew him. People have come out and said lovely things about him, Alison said. People who used to play with him at primary school, people who worked with him, people who didn't, people who played football with him. All the people over the years have all said he had a lovely smile and was so friendly and genuinely a lovely guy. He's really funny and witty. That's helped in a way. All the people he touched that you wouldn't even realise. Alison added her brother is the life and soul. More than anything, the family want to do something to help his two daughters, who devastatingly won't have their dad by their side as they grow up anymore. One of Andrew's best friends set up a fundraiser. Alongside that, it's for the future, Alison said. He's not able to be there to provide for the future now. And for anyone, it was not such a difference to the two girls and to give a little peace of mind that something is there for the future. That left a legacy for him and for their mum. He was not the love of her life. It would mean so much to Lauren to take the kind of struggle away. I'll tell you what, I'll have a little song before we finish my last segment because I want to break up the show and make it interesting for my listeners. We have a little song for the show. I hope you lot don't mind me singing one song, then we're going to finish the last segment of the show. Make the show a bit more encouraging for the listeners. They sat there patiently listening to my journalism. Journalism's not everyone's cup of tea, but I like it. It keeps me up to date with what's going on around the world. I've done media studies, obviously arts and humanities is my second love. Give me a out of 10 for my singing efforts. Give me a rating out of 10 for my singing efforts, guys. I need my mind. Stand up. I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save the day. Superman got nothing on me. I'm only one call away. Call me baby if you need a friend. I just wanna give you love. Come on, come on, come on. Reaching out to you, so take a chance. No matter where you go, no, you're not alone. I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save the day. So I'm only one call away. Come along with me and don't be scared. I just be anywhere. For now, we can stay here for a while. Oh, I just wanna see you smile. No matter where you go, all the way, I'll be there to save the day. And Superman got nothing on me. I'm only one call away. And when you're weak, I'll be strong. I'm gonna keep holding on. No, don't you worry, it won't be long. And darling, when could I hope it's come? Just come into my arms, 'cause I'm only one call away. I'll be there to save the day. So glad you're nothing on me. I'm only one. I'm only one. Call away. I'll be there to save the day. So glad you're nothing on me. I'm only one call away. I'm only one call away. Change the sharp a little bit, but one more segment to get from it. There's more singing. Would you like that song? I hope so. Was that a good effort? Was that a good effort? One more segment to get through on the journalism. It'll take up 5 minutes and get straight back to having a bit of fun. From phone to laptop, a loan goes a long way to help children with homeschooling. A lot of children are finding the homeschooling very, very hard. I know that much. Hatfield pupil Olivia has been enjoying her laptop. A laptop loan from Anthony to Water, credited from Anthony to Water. Anthony to Water in Hatfield donated loan laptops to help children learn while being homeschooled. Michelle, a parent from Hatfield, explained how the water companies help to change her daughter Olivia's life. She said Olivia was originally only able to do her Zoom classes. I've got a message then on the phone and work on paper. Having a laptop has now enabled her to join Zoom calls on a bigger screen. She can receive her work on PowerPoint and complete her schoolwork using Word and lastly via laptop. So overall, it has been a huge help. Anyone got any children that are doing homeschooling on a computer? A lot of children are struggling on the computers to sit there and concentrate. It's hard work. unless your child is really, really, really wants to do well in their grades and they're really engaged in their brain and their work. It's hard. It's hard to concentrate on a computer without no push of tutors. If you don't really listen, if you're a child, you don't really listen to your parents saying you've got to do your work because they leave you to your devices. They need to be there over your shoulder telling you to keep studying. The Department for Education has provided 8,860 laptops and tablets to Hertfordshire children to help support disadvantaged children and young people while they learn at home. Grant Shapps is the constituent MP of Hatfield, MP of Welling Hatfield. Welling Hatfield, Grant Shapps welcomed the DfE and Hatfield's company Computers' efforts to roll out remote learning. He said, no child should miss out on the result of the disruption caused by the pandemic. It is our priority to equip the children in most need with the tools they need to get on with their learning. Hertfordshire is a big learning project because they've got university, Hertfordshire University in Hatfield. It's great to see many electronic devices have been delivered across the country. It's also brilliant to see the company base where Welling Hatfield will take leading role on supplying new devices. Of course, while we hope that our children will be back learning in school as soon as possible, we will do everything in our power to give them the world-class education they deserve as they learn at home. The DfE added in a statement, we have secured 1.3 million devices, which is an estimated number of devices needed to support the number of pupils eligible for free school meals. This is alongside the estimated 2.9 million devices schools already owned at the start of the pandemic. We've now provided over 1 million devices and expect to deliver a remainder by Easter. Free school meals are one way of calculating those who needed free laptops, which is just shy of 25,000 pupils in Herts. And if this represents the laptops needed by pupils, the DfE has delivered around 35%. Free data has also been given to disadvantaged families, alongside their further 300 million for tutoring programs. So yes, Grant Shapps is a Conservative constituent in Welling Hatfield, which is in Hertfordshire, my old constituent where I was living last year. That is the end of my journalism. Thank you everyone on Castbox and YouTube. I'm going to stay on my live TV and carry on entertaining my friends there. Thank you everyone on YouTube, my loyal listeners. Have a blessed week. It's Monday, first Monday of the month. End my YouTube. I'll be with you